Okay, so for this last and final prep step for gridding, you're going to need a pencil, you're going to need your project paper, and you're going to need a ruler, okay? Now, let's just talk a little bit about rulers really quick, because I feel like this is something that students can sometimes get confused on, okay? So my ruler might look a little bit different than yours. They're structured differently depending on the brand that you get. You can see mine has inches on one side, and it's got centimeters on the other side. So the other side of my ruler is a metric, okay? When it comes to your ruler itself, you want to pay attention to the end. Some rulers have 0 starting right here at the end, and other rulers have a 0 notch that's in a little bit. So if I'm gridding my paper, okay, I need to make sure that I have things placed properly, okay? So when it comes to, making this work, if I start drawing my lines here, then 1 inch is more than 1 inch, okay? So when it comes to gridding, you're going to basically make hatch marks all the way around the paper, whatever size your squares are, okay? So for our project, we're doing 1 inch squares, but depending on the situation, sometimes you might need a 2 inch square or a 3 inch square or whatever, okay? So for us, we're going to be using every full inch mark, and I'm going to be using my ruler. Now, a couple things about positioning. One is you want to make sure the end of your paper is at 0. And you can see if I run this all the way across with my eyes, it ends right at 12. Your full inch marks, and this is another thing I want to kind of review with you guys. See if I can get this to focus. Your full inch marks, guys, are the long lines by the number. Some rulers, the number is over here, okay? Some rulers, the number is on this side. Some, it's right underneath the long line. But when you're looking at inches, and sorry, mine's like really dirty because I use this for everything, all my art stuff and everything. So there's all kinds of lines drawn in here. But you can see this is a full inch right here. This is from 1 to 2 inch. Those are the longest lines. If you wanted a ½ inch, you'd be looking at the next longest line, which would be here, okay? And then if you wanted a ½ inch, you're looking again for the line that's about halfway in between. That's the next longest, okay? So that's a quarter, and then you have an 1/8 and a 1/16 of an inch. So it just depends on what size you need. For us, we're doing this nice and easy. We just need full inch marks. So each time I make a hatch, I always say when you're using a ruler, no matter what you're doing, look twice, draw once. Okay, meaning double check before you make marks. It's easy to make mistakes when it comes to using a ruler. Okay. When we're doing a grid, we need to make sure things are correct and right. So we want to make sure that this is just the way that we need it. So as far as positioning, you can see I'm going to line the edge of my paper up with 0. So you need to do that. Make sure that you've got your inch side of your ruler right up against the edge of your paper. Okay, so you can see it's right along the top. And this is how we're going to get through our notching of our inches. So I don't need to make one at 0 because that's the edge, but I'm going to go ahead and every inch I'm going to make a hatch. Okay, as far as making a grid on your project paper, you want this grid to be light. Okay, and the reason why is because ultimately we don't want it to be seen. Okay, you'll notice I rotated my paper. Okay, students, a lot of times I'll see them rotate their ruler. Make it easy for yourself. You've got yourself set up. So rotate your paper and leave everything else the same. This makes life a lot easier. Okay, so double check, make sure you've got it right on the inch. Again, I'm going to rotate. We're going around all 4 sides every full inch. Again, if you ever using this video to kind of help you grid a different size, just think about your ratio, what size squares you have on your image versus what size squares you need in your paper or your canvas or whatever it is that you're using. Okay. Once you get all of your grid marks, or your hatch marks, I should say, drawn on all 4 sides. Okay, it doesn't take very long if you do it my way. You'll see hatch marks all the way around. They are light, okay? So if you're having trouble seeing, you can kind of just know that they are there, every inch mark, okay? You do not want your grid to be dark. This is something that ultimately you're going to erase away or it's going to get hidden away. So another thing we're going to do, and this is to kind of get finished setting up our grid, is we are going to now connect the opposite hatch marks all the way across and then do it the other way. Now, again, some students I see, they automatically think like, oh, if I'm drawing a line, I should have my ruler straight across. But look how hard it is for me to hold this steady. If I run my pencil along here, it's going to rock back and forth, okay? To prevent that from happening, you can hold your ruler in a way where it's sort of coming towards you. All right, what this does is it gives me a comfortable way to hold my hand. You can see I have my fingers holding the ruler steady here, and my thumb is holding the ruler steady down here. I'm going to line up my top and bottom hatch mark, and lightly I'm going to draw my first grid line. I'm going to go ahead and continue this process, sliding my ruler. Remember, look twice, draw once. I'm matching up my hatch marks. Okay, and I'm kind of using both hands to make sure they're in place. Once I'm ready, I am drawing across. One thing I notice when students are new to this is they forget to double check. Sometimes when you tilt your ruler in one direction to match up, it can turn or tilt the ruler at the bottom, for example. So just be aware, make sure they're matched up at both ends. I find it helpful to use both hands for this when I'm matching it up. Okay. But you can see this, you know, yes, it's a lot of lines, but it's going to help us so much in our drawing, and it's really going to transform the way that we are able to draw. Again, do I turn my paper? No, I'm going to keep it comfortable for myself, and I'm going to turn my, do I turn my ruler? No, turn your paper, okay? So again, I'm going to go ahead and match these up. If you're using a 12-inch ruler, you're going to notice that it goes right to the edges of the paper. My ruler is an 18-inch, so if you're wondering why mine is so long, it's just a little bit longer ruler. Okay, it's an 18-inch ruler. So I'm going to keep doing this. I've got a few more lines to draw, but you can see I'm just kind of dragging my pencil along the paper. I'm not drawing super dark. Remember, this grid is sort of just to help us draw. It's not something we're going to keep in our artwork from beginning to end. Okay. So ultimately what you should have when you finish is a grid that has 12 squares across long ways, all right, and then 9 squares along the side. So that is your goal. That's what we're working with here when it comes to drawing your grid.